Carlino here, CW Wraps. We get asked a lot of the time when we ship out a graphic, how to do it. What can we do? So we've kind of done this off and on. We're gonna try and do a lot of DIYs for you guys so that when we're shipping things out, we'll send you information of where to go, what video to watch, and hopefully one of these will help you with what we ship to you. Take a peek. All right, first and foremost, one of the best things you can do for clean and get any residue, anything, is 70% isopropyl alcohol. You can buy it at Walmart, Walgreens, online, wipe it down. That'll get all the gunk, everything off there, ready to stick. Pretty good size, about 55, 60 inches, okay? So you put it up here. When it comes to a vehicle, usually you want to use the body lines of the vehicle. You do not want to use the level floor because a vehicle never sits level to the ground. So we're going to use this rail. I'm at 7 1/4. I'm going to come over here to another flat spot. I'm at 7 1/4 with a good span in between them. Rounded letters always come down lower than the flats. If I was to run a level right across here, right there, see how much that U sticks down? So don't measure your rounds, measure your flats. That way you end up in a good spot. You could do it up here on these if you wanted to. Hard part is just making sure, like we're just shy of 9 1/4, just shy of 9 1/4, so we're consistent. And that gives you a little more span. I have magnets. You can get magnets at Harbor Freight, anywhere. You can get little magnets. It always makes it easy to shift and move. If you don't have magnets, use some tape. On new Fords and some of the Chevs, GMCs, you're gonna have to use tape anyway because they are aluminum, not magnetic. Once you have it set, that's where you wanna have it. The easiest way for somebody that doesn't know, doesn't do this every day, make yourself a little hinge. I'll even get rid of the magnets so you guys don't use it. Up here you can, I'm gonna do this. I don't care how you do it. If you do it really gently, you can go just below the line so you aren't cutting on paint, you're on the paper. Give it a little cut. Then we have a nice clean line. What we're gonna do is we're gonna line up this and that. You can peel this back. Just be careful when you peel back, okay? Once you're there, you can take and trim it if you want to. Look over here. I'm gonna bend over that masking that's on holding it. It's gonna hold it for a second, just for a split second because it's not sticky. I'll cut this nice and clean. That way you don't get any fuzzies sticking on the back side. This vinyl is a non-air release vinyl, so you don't want to stick it. So if it's here or here, it's not gonna work. This paper tells you pretty much where it's gotta be, this masking. So you keep that masking nice and flat, overlapping squeegee strokes. Keeping it nice and clean. I'm not setting it to this, it's loose, but you don't wanna hold it up high. Hold it as close as you can without sticking it. Down, up, down, and just work your way. Finish it out. When I laid this and I set this, I left myself just a little room here so I didn't have to go over this, and I brought it over and I left it just shy of this door so everything fits in there. Remove that, we'll do the same thing again down here. You can do it like this. If you have a black grease pencil, you can go like that, make a little mark. I can still see even that white mark with a grease pencil, right? I can get rid of this, and we'll use that as our marker now. Come back, take this, roll it back on itself nice and easy. I don't want to go too far because I don't want this to flop over. So I'm going to stop right about here. I'm going to hold both pieces, come back over. With that rolled over, it keeps my vinyl up off, and this has no stickum. See our little mark right here? I'm gonna hold me right to my mark. I know I'm level with where I was supposed to be at. Same thing. You can use either side of the squeegee, whatever works better for you, it doesn't matter. If it's too soft of a squeegee would be the only thing. A real soft one can bend too much. This is a little bit harder card, so. Pull it up. And we'll go all the way. Let it roll all the way off of there. Don't pull straight out, roll it back on itself. Again, there's my little mark, right there. So I'm good. I know everything's where it needs to be. Overlapping squeegee marks. And I'm always pushing the air away, not back. Okay, I'm gonna go right back over it while the masking's on there. Make sure I got everything pressed down, especially your points. Those are the most susceptible to pulling up. They only have as much strength as they have adhesive behind them. It's not their fault, so you gotta be slow and patient with them. When you're pulling this stuff back, pull it, leave it flat, pull slow, you don't have to be in a hurry. And then right here, I'm gonna take this, pull it down, otherwise it's just gonna rip. I'm gonna pull down nice and easy, nice and slow. And just get that stuff off of there. Pull it down, like a 45-degree angle. Grab this, do the same thing again. And the whole time I'm watching every time, as soon as I come to this edge, okay? Making sure everything's sticking right here, everything's there. I'm gonna be a point here, make sure it's sticking. Come all the way off. Once it's on there, most everything's pretty good. I got one little bubble here, one little one here. This is a bubble popper. I'm not gonna pop the bubble. All I'm gonna do is get up underneath that vinyl just a hint and see if I can work it out from that edge. Just like that. So I pulled it back just a little bit, got a heat gun. It's like a $30 quarter cable, you can get it on Amazon. A little bit of heat. I'm just gonna make sure and lay that down nice and clean. Then we got a little bit right here, just a little trap there. That one, again, it's right close to an edge. I'm just gonna get up underneath of there. And move that stuff right to the edge. Perfect. Now that it's all done, I always like to go back over it with a heat gun, make sure all your edges are down, everything's solid. Also, when I'm heating, one, you're helping set it, make sure everything's good. Two, if there's any air trapped in there and you apply heat to it, it's gonna expand that air underneath that vinyl, okay? That's a simple way to lay a 50, 60-inch one. That's a plotted graphic. And that was a non-air release one. It's a little tougher. If you buy stuff from us, unless specified, most time we'll send you air release stuff. Give you just a little bit of option for less bubbles. Now we're on the hood. So the hood is not anything too much, it's smaller. We got about a 24-inch graphic. Difference here is this is a little bit rounded. So it's got two curves. One is curves this way, one it curves this way. So you can't lay it exactly the same as we did the other one. So I'm still gonna hinge it because again, for the simplest method, this holds everything still. I'm just gonna use my squeegee and just pull up and cut that tape. Or you can do what I told you earlier, which is take and just make a mark, boom to boom, okay? So I'll use either a grease pencil or this. Peel back, nice and easy. We have small lettering, make sure everything is sticking. If it's not sticking, lay this back down real quick. It's not gonna stick to that backing the same way. You can keep it laid down. Use a squeegee and make sure that stuff is stuck really well to your masking. That way when you pull this up, it sticks on there nice and easily. So we're just gonna go right to here. The other thing you can do, maybe guys out there that do this a little bit, you can quick snap it and peel. You always peel backward, not forward. You wanna take a peek. If I pull forward, zoom in on that. Fuzzies are on the face side of this. So when I lay my graphic down right here, I'm gonna get fuzzies. If I take it and I pull it backwards, all the fuzzies are on the back side, not the front. That way you don't get stuff inside there. So you can take this, give it a little quick pop. Then this is rounded. See, it wants to kind of bubble up here. So you want to start just in the middle and just work the middle and get that middle laid. Then you can come down and do your bottom and your top. If you try and do the whole thing, sometimes it'll start to want to pull up on you here and it gets a little difficult. This may be for somebody that does this a little more often than we do, or than the average Joe. Same thing, you can pull from here, or you can just start on this end, peel it back, nice and easy on itself, going slow. You can see how it wants to kind of arch up right here. So I'm just gonna work that right there. I'm not doing all of it, just the top and bottom. Everything lines up nice and pretty there. Then I'll come back and work these. Work down. Make sure we got everything stuck. There we go. So, a few little bubbles in our non-air release, which isn't always my favorite, especially when I'm trying to talk and do it. Same thing again, you can just get into that edge, something fine, have a little heat, or you can just go like that, and it'll come out of there. A little bit of heat, remember I said it'll expand that air? One little teeny pop in these things, and a little heat, and it'll help them go bye-bye. Just a little teeny. This is on a hood, so it wasn't perfect in this hood. There were a few little issues here and there. So. Little guys. Most of these little guys will just dissipate out. If they're real small, you just don't want anything big in there. Clean it up just because I don't like a lot of holes, and I do use a little small. You can get them at 3M vinyl hole popper. Tips needle small. When you do a round hole, it won't expand and end up tearing in the future. A lot of guys like to use a knife that puts a straight edge cut. If it gets hot, cold, expands and contracts, you can actually have a slice and that'll open up in the future. There you go. Quick rear graphic. This may be more for the actual installer themselves. We've got it put up here. Per our proof, it says it will have about 6 inches from here to top of letter, here to top of letter. And then what I did is centered it on here. I looked at my proof, where the line goes, and there's one thing as an installer, you've got to look at things and go, okay, is everything good? But you've got this door seam, that's a 1/4 inch gap. This won't make any big difference. It's in a good spot. These aren't falling off, I like that. But this C is right, like it's just, I would rather it split the C just a buzz more with it cutting the lines and not right almost on this middle section. That way you don't lose it. So we can just take the whole graphic, shift it just a buzz. We're still, if I measure, we're at I measure properly down and over, so I'm about 3 to 4 inches there, 11 7/8. Come over here, same thing, 3 to 4, and I'm like almost dead nuts, 11 7/8. Really close. We might be just a fuzz, like a 16th to the left. But this is gonna give us an 1/8. A little more here. Double check after we moved it. We're at 6, and we're at 6, and we're at 6, so we're good. All right, so I put a little mark down here because I can't see as well up top. On this one, if we're gonna use a non-air release vinyl, what I showed you earlier was applying a non-air release vinyl with no liquid whatsoever. We use a stuff called Slide. All it is, you can use a hint of alcohol, distilled water, and like a drop of baby shampoo. Super simple. It's not rocket science. You can just use a little water, a little soap. The alcohol just allows it to dissipate and dry faster. It disperses out your water. So we're gonna take this, peel this back. This is a little bigger one, but we're gonna wet apply this one. Give you guys an idea so that if you're having issues dry applying, you get a lot of bubbles. This will just make it a little bit simpler. Okay, I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna tap that little corner real quick so I have a clean edge over here. I'm gonna spray just a little bit. I don't need a lot, I'm gonna spray just a hint on there. I'm not gonna get this wet. You don't want that edge to be wet, so I'm spraying away from it. I wanna keep this a little moist, not that. It will seep into there and it'll stick to the backside of your vinyl. All right. With the wet apply, you have a little more forgiveness. My line's lined up over here. I'm gonna hard side it on this one because I definitely wanna make sure that I'm getting all the water out, okay? Everything was up and out, up and out. Now, I don't have that back side of the paper. I'm not worried. I can spray this more now, moisten it up. The more you put on there, the more you gotta work to make sure it's all out though. So, keep my paper nice and straight. It's wet enough, it's not gonna go anywhere. I can just set it there. I'm gonna get myself a good pin line where I know I'm straight, pinning it or setting a good set line. Work all that water out. Up and out. Got this on there. When you go to pull this paper, the 3M, it's a little bit sticky, it's tacky. It's gonna come off decently, but if you are pulling and these aren't set good enough, you're in a hurry, you gotta go. You can actually just moisten the face up. Now I will tell you, if you moisten the face up, you don't want to leave it on there for a long time, especially something if all you had was alcohol, 70% in a bottle. It'll make it really gooey and it'll be a bugger to get off. So this will just help release that liner a little bit, so as I'm pulling, it's not pulling on the vinyl as bad. So it allows it just to come off a lot smoother as I'm cruising through here. After you wet apply, you want to make sure you get all that water out, otherwise all these little guys are going to want to come up on you. See that little one? But it's just a tip, so I'm not worried about it. And you just watch all these little edges. Make sure everything's down. Okay. So there you go. Now right here is what we were talking about. This C would have fallen and it would have almost made the C kind of unrecognizable. So we shifted over just enough to allow it to be visible, and then we wet applied it. So I'm gonna take this guy and I'm gonna make sure he's just right where we want him, and then I'm gonna heat him. Give it just a little bit of heat. I don't want it to move around. When you're cutting on doors or anything of this sort, This is your drop side, so I want this one to go in because it's the part that'll go in and back. This side is a short or shallow empty face. I'll just cut there, drop those in. And then with that water, you want to make sure that you get that thing set in there real good. That's why we put just a hint of alcohol in there. It just allows it to dry out faster. A bit of heat, set that edge, and make sure it just stays where you want it. Notice heat gun's not like, I've got a good 12 to 16, 18 inches here. I just want the warmth, not hot. A non-air release vinyl is not meant to get real hot. It doesn't work like a cast vinyl that's gonna set right back and shrink and do what you want, so be smart about it. There you go. Quick little recap. You set your graphic, you measure it, you make sure it's where you want it to be. With body lines of vehicles, not floor. We aren't using levels on this. Doesn't work all the time. Once in a rare while. Dry apply or wet apply option. You want to know if your vinyl has air release or no. Use a hinge, makes it a lot easier. Mark your ends so you set it. That paper is going to guide you. Any questions? Hop on our YouTube, shoot us a message. We'll make a video to help you. We'll answer it. Excited to do this with you guys.